Big things are starting at the box office, as we only have but a few weekends left in 2023, which is wild to think about in and of itself. But one of the biggest holiday-related releases is going to be Timothée Chalamet's origin story for Willy Wonka. I don't know who asked for any of this stuff, and I don't really know who's going to go see it, but it has a good chance of success. Except for the fact that it really doesn't. It's interesting, man, because previews, we don't have any numbers, at least at time of recording. I'm not even sure how well this is tracking, but the projections on it, $35 million debut. Well, we've kind of seen the production budget as well, and well, it just drives home that point that Western cinema, I don't know, man, not really working out all that well. We're just going to have to check in on some of the big tentpole releases. Like, nothing against Timothée Chalamet. I've never seen him act in anything. All I know is that he's definitely fighting against the old Kardashian Jenner curse. I don't know which one he's banging, but I think it's the skinny one. The one that doesn't have an atrocious BBL, okay? I think that's the one. Because the other one's, still being a housewife for Travis Scott. Forgive me, I don't know the Kardashian daughters' names, okay? Kim's a linebacker and another one's fucking the drummer from Blink-182, right? But when Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory hit theaters in 71, oh, Gene Wilder, those were better days. It barely broke even. A decade later, as VCRs became ubiquitous, the adaptation of Roald Dahl's a children's novel, the very first book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Funny anecdote. I know that I've told this before, but it's probably been a while. But Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was the very first book that I can recall reading and ever having to do a book report on. So I love the source material. I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is great. And outside of the Gene Wilder original, I don't think that I've ever watched any cinematic adaptation of the source material. Nothing against Johnny Depp. Big fan of Johnny Depp after all. Not even in like a, post Amber Heard lawsuit deal, but Pirates of the Caribbean is easily the first one, the only good one, is easily in my top 5 favorite films of all time. It's just, I didn't really dig any of his collaborations with Tim Burton. I know that might be blasphemous, but I've got dainty media taste. Okay, sue me. I'm a fucking old head when it comes to this stuff. Anyways, finally got an audience eager to embrace its offbeat look at a bizarre chocolatier, the golden ticket, yeah, variety with all of your, pomp and circumstance. But it does end up making sense. A remake later, 2005 version, Johnny Depp taking over the role from Gene Wilder. Willy Wonka is back again, only it's a Timothée Chalamet wearing the character's trademark top hat and flaunting his sweet tooth and with his crushed velvet overcoat. We know. Oh my god, we get to figure out why he ended up becoming a recluse before, he ended up opening up the chocolate factory in order to hand it off and seek an heir. Who the hell actually wanted this origin story? It might be great at the end of the day, but it's a story kind of like with Amazon trying to tell the Second Age story with Lord of the Rings, the world that Tolkien crafted. Nobody cared, okay? Like, it was a story that not even J.R.R. Tolkien wanted to tell, but Amazon's like, no, we got a girl boss, so we need to shoehorn in there and just ruin a fucking beloved character. Anyways, Wonka hits theaters this weekend, opening in more than 4,100 locations. That's even more screens than the Marvels got. They got an exorbitant, they got 3,900 theaters or something like that, but they're picking up 4,100. So I'm looking at how many theaters Wish, the Hunger Games, even though it's kind of holding on, but still, it's barely. If it's gonna break even, I don't really know about that, but this is the film that I've been tapping for it to just, wipe out Hunger Games. Just, knock it off of its, rusted wrought iron perch. It's not doing great, guys. You can go ahead and gulp as much as you want. Anyways, those include IMAX and other premium formats, which could goose a ticket sales. Well, it's kind of also what happened with the Marvels, but less said about that, the better. As it stands, Wonka is expected to generate $35 million in its debut weekend. Oh, that could be just under the $41 million that Dune, the highest-grossing film that Chalamet has headlined. Yeah, and that's still not great, because didn't that end up going into theaters with the bifurcated release where you could also day and date get access to that on HBO Max. I think that was also the case there. But it did well enough in order to get its second part, and even just hearing some of the behind-the-scenes stuff and listening to a comparison between the film and the book itself, it seems interesting. I'm rooting for the second one to do good because there's a lot of people looking forward to that, and this is kind of going to be the theme of the video where when Hollywood fails, other studios are going to pick up on it. And when good cinema, when good films are out there, they need to be rewarded, man. So that's what happened with Dune. It's such a weird world, man. Like, I'm just naturally going to gravitate towards that. Just not like the work that Frank Herbert's kid did. That shit sounds like total weird insanity. But I would definitely look forward to a Dune Messiah book. Or, I'm sorry, Dune Messiah adaptation, because that could be really wild. But yes, $35 million debut weekend, okay? For Timothée Chalamet personally, that's not bad, okay? $41 million for Dune, but for him, $35 million for this just simply being a vehicle for him, that's not that bad. But then when you compare and contrast that with Warner Brothers produced Wonka, which carries a production budget of $125 million, and I'm starting to see a lot of advertisement for this. This thing right here, okay, so off the back of that, this is, oof, man, like it's going to need to make 250, 300, oh, okay, at least 250 mil, at least, and then probably with marketing over the top of that, and then especially with it being holidays, $350, $400 million to break even. But as we're finding out this year, 2023, it's the year of, oh God, please break even. Like, there's no reason that a fucking Wonka adaptation, okay, that a story about a character that everybody at least tertiarily knows needs to cost $125 million. Like, I understand that Hollywood really wants Timothée Chalamet to be a movie star. He's not a fucking movie star, okay? He's not commanding that much money. But unless this shit looks really fucking good, $125 million, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. But it has a chance. It has a chance. It's releasing correctly and at a time when competition has never been softer. We're going to be completely honest, okay? But as we can see, in the most recent numbers that I have right now are just Wednesday, so, okay, don't shoot the messenger. This is just what ends up happening. Japan is dominating, okay? It might end up, like I'm saying, wiping out Hunger Games because it's had a longer reign than anybody anticipated, if we're going to be completely honest. But still, I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at this. It needs to hit $300 million to break even. It might hit $300 million by the end of the year. But I think that Wonka is definitely going to bite into those theaters, knowing that it has the 4,150 theaters that it's going to be taken. Obviously, it'll be from that. Napoleon, Wish, oh my god, where's the there's the Marvels, just barely make it. It made $5,000 more than Die Hard. Die Hard re-release. Okay, what are we doing, man? What are we doing in theaters? When I see shit like this, I'm looking at just the abysmal performance of Western films, and the way forward, it's easy, man. It's easy. It's not just Japanese films, because you have Hayao Miyazaki's Studio Ghibli, Boy and the Heron right up there at the top, not having a single day under $1 million in its first week of release with only 2,200 screens. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And then you got Godzilla Minus One, which still, the more people see it, the more people rave about it, okay? Like, this is no paper tiger, man. This thing is making bank off the back of, as we've heard a couple of different interviews from the director. I'd butcher his name, frankly. I don't even properly know his name. And that's no slight against him. I wish him nothing but success, and that's exactly what he's receiving right there. But the more faith that gets put into this film, the better the reception is. And now, this weekend, they're picking up more theaters. They're going over 2,600. The Boy and the Heron, I would imagine it's going to end up picking up more theaters as well, given the fact that it's breaking records from a super acclaimed studio, saying that, yeah, all-time domestic box office for a Studio Ghibli film. That just goes to show you, man, from children's fare to more adult fare, Japan, Asian cinema knows what they're selling, man. Because what do we have for new releases? Okay, if we're thinking that anything's going to come over and knock out The Boy and the Heron, I think, what is it, Illumination has Migration that's going to be coming out. Like, do you think the parents are going to roll the dice on a Western studio animated release or something that has crisp, clean animation, something that they likely ended up growing up with? Because I remember, like, one of the most famous cartoons that I requested from Video Update, our chosen movie rental growing up, My Neighbor Totoro. Oh my god, I wanted to see that time and time again. Fortunately, I still haven't watched it in all this time. Nothing is technically stopping me, right? But now that people of my age and a little bit older are having kids as well, they're going to want to put their kids, if they're of proper sound mind, in front of something that's not going to be detrimental to the advancement of their children. So what are they going to end up reaching for? A Studio Ghibli film, something that has an untarnished track record of success, of telling a good, long-lasting, critically and commercially acclaimed story. Spirited Away is one of the most beloved animated films of all time. And if we continue to see more support thrown behind Godzilla, okay, and it continuing to perform, it continuing to get great reception, and then also starting tomorrow, or rather the 14th or 15th. No. It'd be the 15th, right? Because that would be the Friday. Now that it's going to be heading into theaters for the UK audiences, Demandem is going to be able to see Godzilla Wreck Tokyo. I can only see bigger and better things for releases like that. And then also, going into the future, taking a look ahead to things with Hollywood reeling because of all of the strikeage that happened in 2023. There's not going to be a lot of stuff coming out next year. There's still a couple of projects. Hell, there's only going to be one Marvel film that comes out. Lucasfilm probably isn't going to be doing anything on the Disney side. I think that there's one or two things coming out from Disney proper. Maybe Pixar has something cooking up. But with what they're doing right now, Toho, Studio Ghibli, okay, all of those Japanese studios, they're ingratiating themselves with theaters, knowing that they can go ahead and they can perform. If given an inch, they will take a mile. And in a year where we had bomb after bomb after bomb, not even talking about Godzilla right now, with Wish, with the Marvels, with Indiana Jones, with The Flash, with Blue Beetle, with Shazam, with Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania. I'm still missing some, but you get the point. When you have films turning actual profit on the weekdays, when you have films that are packing the theaters weekend after weekend, that continue to have good word of mouth, something that used to be more common than not in theaters, not but 10-15 years ago. They're going to go ahead and they're just going to start to notice. It's like, yeah, we'll work out a deal with Disney and all that stuff. Yeah, that's great, but you guys are probably going to need to hold on to more of your money than you'll have the ability to spend out there. So we'll be going across the pond, looking at some of those Korean studios, looking at some of those Japanese studios, going, hey, any more of those films that you want to go ahead and put out over here, because we got ticket paying audiences and kind of liking what you're putting down. So if you want to work something with AMC, you want to work something with, I don't know, is Magic Johnson still have his theaters? If you want to do something like that, there is an audience that's out there. There's an audience that's out there, and it's always going to be out there for good storytelling, because that's what they're offering. That's what they're offering. That's what Godzilla's offering. That's what Boy and the Heron is offering. You know who's not? Wish, the Marvels, Indiana Jones, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Quantumania. Japan has been beating the brakes off of entertainment industries for a long time now, and now it's going to be taking over the cinema. What's going to be the lesson learned from this? Well, from Hollywood, they're probably just thinking people like monster movies and people like birds in animation, because they never end up learning the correct lesson from this. But Japan, well, Japan is, and they're reaping the benefits of it. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.